Today, let's talk about a case that happened in the 1980s. This was originally an unsolved case. However, nearly 30 years later, a police detective, after studying the case in detail, it was decided to reopen the investigation, so that the case finally made a breakthrough. This case is the Kellingstrom Case. The protagonist of today's story is named Kaylene Strom. He was 25 years old. Kaylene is an extroverted person, very popular with friends. He lives in Woods Cross, Utah, USA. Woods Cross. It is the state of Utah, USA. A city under Davis County. Next to it is the Great Salt Lake. The scenery here is beautiful. It is the largest saltwater lake in the Western Hemisphere. Kaylene grew up with her father. I met Steve when he was in high school. The two fell in love at first sight. Fall in love immediately. They got married after graduating from high school. Like many newlyweds, when they first got married, their lives were very sweet and happy. However, as time passed, such a happy life did not last long. The relationship between the two gradually faded, and cracks appeared. After 3 or 4 years of marriage, Kaylene couldn't stand this kind of life anymore. She decided to separate and moved to live in his stepmother's house. However, it didn't take long. A bad luck befell Kaylene. So what happened that day? How did Kaylene encounter misfortune? Next, let's go back to June 5, 1980. June 5, 1980 was a Thursday. Kaylene's husband Steve was a few days ago. Call Kaylene. He said he wanted to take Kaylene home and invite Kaylene to dinner together. Since this day is Kaylene's birthday, the wedding anniversary of the two is coming soon. Kathleen agreed to her husband Steve's request. The two had dinner together that night. After the end, they went back together. Arrived at home to live. Steve worked night shifts at a factory next to Ocean Lake. Working hours are from 12:30 midnight to 7 a.m. Steve rested at home for a while. I went out to work in the factory. His wife, Kaylene, stayed at home for the night. Time flies. The next morning at 7 a.m., Steve is off work. At this time, he made a phone call home. Remind your wife to get up and go to work. Then the phone went unanswered. He hit a few more. However, no one answered. Steve was a little worried. Because of this time, Kaylene should answer the phone. Steve was worried about what would happen to his wife. He immediately clocked out of work and drive home. After returning home, Steve went to the kitchen first. See if Kelly left any notes for herself. Inform the whereabouts. However, Steve did not find the note. Then Steve went to the bedroom. He pushed open the door. I was stunned by the scene in front of me. I saw Kaylene lying face up on the ground. There was blood on his neck. Steve was horrified. He quickly picked up the phone and called the police. After the police received a call to the police, it took a few minutes to arrive at the scene. However, it was too late. Kathleen has unfortunately passed away. Investigators quickly entered the scene to investigate and collect evidence. Kaylene is wearing pajamas. Lie face up on the ground. Feet against the wall. Head near the corner of the bed. There are obvious strangulation marks in the throat. Besides, there were also some scratches on his neck, arms, and other places. In the bedroom, the blanket and sheets on the bed fell to the ground. Pillows were also thrown off the bed. The TV fell to the ground from the cabinet next to it. The power supply is still connected to the plug. The screen is still on. The bed in the bedroom is made of copper. 2 copper bars at the head of the bed were knocked off. One has completely fallen to the ground. Police judged. There was a fierce fight at the scene. In addition to the bedroom. Nowhere else was it hit. Any destruction. The back door of Kaylene's house is a sliding door. There was a stick that stuck the door. You can't get in from the outside. The lock on the front door is intact. The windows were also not damaged in any way. The police reasoned. It may be that Kaylene herself put the murderer into the house. Or the murderer has the key to the house. After entering the house, the murderer had a fierce fight with Kaylene. The scars on Kaylene's arm show. He once fought hard. In the end, the murderer strangled Kaylene with both hands. As a result, he died. The police preliminarily judged that this was a crime committed by an acquaintance. Investigators began questioning Kaylene's relatives and friends. Some people said, recently, Kaylene and her husband Steve. There were some emotional disputes. Steve admitted, there were some problems in my marriage with Kaylene. They have been separated for some time. During this time, Kaylene lived at his stepmother's house. But recently the two are trying to get back together. The night of the crime, he also invited Kaylene to dinner. The relationship between the two has eased greatly. Steve's statement was partially confirmed by Kaylene's stepmother. The stepmother said that Kaylene was the same day. Indeed, he agreed to Steve's request for dinner. But the two did not try to get back together. Jim said, Kaylene told herself. Recently planned to file for divorce from Steve. Jim had long seen that their marriage was irretrievable. So he tried to get Kaylene not to go to the appointment. But Kaylene said, the two just had a meal. This does not affect his decision to divorce. Just take this opportunity to eat. File for divorce from Steve. After investigators listened to Jim's testimony, I feel that Steve's motive for committing the crime is infinitely increasing. So they called Steve to ask again. This questioning was greatly unexpected by the police. Steve said he knew who the murderer was. It's Kaylene's recent new boyfriend Buff. Steve knows that Kaylene is after the separation. Just dating Buff. He was in a bad mood. We'll go to Buff to talk. The two have a good relationship. Steve said. This Buff. It may be that they are jealous of the reunion of their relationship. So he killed Kaylene in a fit of anger. The police immediately found Kaylene's boyfriend Buff. Buff cooperated very well with the police investigation. He also said that he had nothing to do with this case. I do love Kaylene very much. Kathleen also loved him. The two are happy together. He wants Kaylene to do what he loves. Therefore, he once said to Kaylene, let her give Steve another chance. Kaylene's relatives and friends said they both felt that Kaylene had a bad relationship with Steve. And when Kaylene is with Buff, he always had a smile on his face. Relatives said Buff couldn't hurt Kaylene. The jealous person should be her husband Steve. Instead of Buff. Buff had an alibi on the night of the crime. Therefore, the police ruled out Buff's suspicion. The investigation has reached this point. The forensic autopsy report has also been released. Limited by the technology of the time, the forensic doctor could not come to this conclusion. A very specific time of death. They can only pass the degree of food digestion in the victim's stomach. Judging by the time of eating. Forensic speculation. Kaylene died at 10 p.m. until 2 a.m. the next day. Steve's work time that night was 12:30 midnight. But he seemed to be a little late that day. He clocked in at 12:45 that day. It takes 25 to 30 minutes from home to the factory. Not too far away. Refer to the time period when Kaylene was killed by the police. Steve may have completed the crime before going to work. Then go to work in the factory. Steve's colleague said. That night Steve was at work. It is very normal and does not seem panicked or nervous. There was no abnormal behavior either. At this time, Steve then told the police about another person. That man was his co-worker Owens. Steve and Owens often drink together, hunting and fishing. The two are very good friends. Steve told police. He thought his friend Owens was suspicious. Owens works in the same place as Steve. Steve works the night shift. Owens is in the middle class. So Owens has time to commit crimes. So the police found Owens. They really made a discovery. I saw Owens' arm. There are many small scars on the face. It looks like it was scratched. This greatly increased the police suspicion of him. However, Voss explained. These scars are from work. Accidentally scratched by metal chips. The person in charge of the factory said. When working on machine tools, metal debris often flies out. It is normal to be scratched on the body. As for the scars on the face. That day he bent down to get something while he was at work. Accidentally hit the device head. So it hurts. The night of the crime. He was after work. Go to a bar for drinks with some workers. During this period, I also played billiards for a while. They drink from 8 p.m. onwards. By 4 a.m. the next day, the bar is closed. Owens said. I returned to the factory at about 4:30 a.m. He has an alibi. The workers who Owens went to the bar with that day confirmed this statement. According to the survey, this Owens has nothing to do with Kaylene. The two have very little intersection in life. The police really couldn't find it. What was Owens' motive for committing the crime? So his suspicion was also ruled out by the police. According to the police investigation procedure, Owens' DNA hair samples were retained. The wounds on Owens' body were also photographed for evidence. The investigation has reached this point. Steve. Both suspects provided to the police were ruled out. So the police have reason to think that Steve is lying. He not only has repeated rhetoric. There is also a sufficient motive for committing the crime. Also, Steve did not have an alibi. During the time period of Kaylene's death, Steve may not have been at work yet. Theoretically, he had time to commit crimes. The county prosecutor then issued an arrest warrant. Steve has been charged with first-degree murder. The police are more than half sure of winning the case. In court, all evidence related to this case is presented one by one. However, all of this evidence is circumstantial. There is no strong evidence. December 1980. The verdict was pronounced in this case. The court ruled. Defendant Steve was not convicted of first-degree murder. Released in court. Kaylene's relatives were disappointed with the result. With the court's verdict, the case suddenly sank into the sea. It has become an unsolved case. However, Kaylene's sister Coco did not give up. She has been looking for evidence. She will find the murderer. It is my primary goal in life. Looking forward to the day when it will come to light. The year came to 2006. This is 26 years after the incident. Kaylene's sister Coco came to the police station. Ask about the progress of the case of her sister Kaylene. The past 26 years. She comes from the police station like this every once in a while. The police will say there are no new clues. In fact, the police have almost abandoned this old case. There was a detective named Benson. He was moved by the persistence of Kaylene's sister Coco. He started trying. Learn about this unsolved case that happened 26 years ago. After a period of research, Benson makes a request to his superiors. Hopefully, he will be able to reinvestigate the case. Coco found Detective Benson. Together, the two worked to find new evidence. Subsequently, the superiors approved the request. The case was filed in January 2007. The investigation was restarted. Detective Benson re-examined all the physical evidence of the year. He saw Kaylene's nails back then. It is believed that there may be DNA of the murderer inside. The year 1980 was the year of the crime. DNA technology has not yet been used to solve cases. Therefore, there was no nail on Kaylene at that time. Perform a DNA test. Thereupon, Detective Benson sent the nails to the lab. Perform a DNA test. While waiting for the inspection report, Benson called one of the suspects. After Owen's phone was connected, Officer Benson said, "I'm Detective Benson. I am reinvestigating the Kaylene case. I hope you can answer some of my questions." After Owens on the other end of the phone heard it, fell into extreme uneasiness. His tone trembled slightly. Avoided many of the questions Benson asked. This made Benson vaguely feel Owens may know the inside story of the case. The DNA report results confirmed Benson's guess. On Kaylene's nails, there is the DNA of Owens and Steve. Benson then requested a forensic doctor reassess the timing of Kaylene's death. Forensic doctors through more advanced techniques. Through the changes in body temperature and temperature recorded during the year. Result: Kaylene's death occurred at around 12:30 p.m. We know Steve clocked into work at 12:45 p.m. that night. Travel time from home to factory. It takes at least 25 minutes. It's definitely too late. So Steve's suspicion can be ruled out. And Owens had an alibi at the time. He was drinking at the bar from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. In that case. So why on Kaylene's nails? There will be Owens' DNA. Detective Bison went to find it again that night. A worker who drinks with Owens. According to their recollections. That night, Owens did drink with them at the bar. During the drink, they also played billiards together. But they weren't sure Owens was there all night. If Owens leaves midway, and then coming back is also possible. No one saw Owens at the bar the whole time. Detective Bath looked at a photo of the scar taken by Owens in 1980. These wounds do not look like they are mechanically caused. It's more like someone scratched it. So far, the police believe that Owens' crime is seriously suspected. I want to call him to the police station again for questioning. However, they were one step late. He left a farewell letter to his wife. Said he would never come back. Owens has absconded in fear of crime. From his credit card spending records. Owens fled to St. Anthony, Texas. From there he fled to Mexico. This once again put the case in a quagmire. March 2007. The case has once again ushered in a turning point. The police received a message. Owens spent all the money on him. There is no way to continue living in Mexico. He could only return to the United States. Detective Benson learned the news. Call Owens right away. Said I had enough evidence to apply for an arrest warrant. I advise you to turn yourself in quickly. Owens had no escape. He came to the police station to surrender. He will face first-degree murder charges. During the arrest, another case of Owens also came to the door. 1972 on the beach of Hermo in California. A woman named Kimberly was walking on the beach. Owens rushed over, beating Kimberly. He also tightened his grip on Kimberly's neck with his hand. Tried to strangle him. Kimberly fought back. Eventually escaped. Kimberly called the police afterwards. The police caught Owens. He was tried in California. Kimberly confirmed in court. The person who beat him that day was Owens. But Owens' family provided for his absence. In the end, Owens was acquitted. This matter is over. Owens' family did not give up on this case. They hired a well-known lawyer from California. Defended Owens. The lawyer raised a fatal question as soon as he arrived. The DNA on Kaylene's nails doesn't come from dander. It's semen. So it wasn't a murder. It was an attempted sexual assault case. As for why Owens fled to Mexico, Owens' lawyer said, Owens just went to Texas to meet a friend. Then went to a town on the Mexican border. Played for a while. Only then did he get the news. No, you're in Utah. May face a murder charge. That's why he returned to China. It's not that I spent all my money to come back. Due to insufficient evidence, police dropped the lawsuit against Owens. Owens was released. Detective Benson collected all the physical evidence from 1980. I read it over and over again. He hoped to learn from these evidences. Find even the slightest strong evidence. The police took pictures of these evidences. Then go through the computer. Digitize these photos. Such. You cannot miss any detail. Thanks to the tireless efforts of Detective Benson. He was finally on one of Kaylene's clothes. A small red dot was found that was almost invisible. After careful observation. It's a lot like a drop of blood. So can this blood convict Owens? Detective Barnes immediately contacted the lab. Let them examine it. Is there DNA evidence above? This drop of blood has been around for decades. The sample is very, very small. It is very difficult to detect. However, the emperor pays off. A few days later, the results of the report showed. This blood belongs to Owens. With such strong evidence. Police re-examined Owens in March 2009. A lawsuit was filed. In front of ironclad evidence in court. Owens finally admitted his crime. May 21, 2009. This day was Owens' sentencing hearing. On this day, events have reversed again. Owens made a confession that everyone couldn't believe was a confession. He said that although he killed Kaylene. However, the mastermind of the whole thing is Kaylene's husband, Steve. A few months ago, Steve did just that. He didn't agree at the time. Afterward, Steve bought his wife Kaylene a life insurance policy. If something happens to Kathleen, Steve will receive a large sum of compensation. Steve agreed to Owens. If it works, he will give half of the claim to Owens. Steve gives Owens a room key. Owens in the early morning of June 6, 1980. Use this key to open the door. I didn't do it immediately after entering the house. Instead, he advised Kaylene to leave quickly. And said that Steve wanted to kill him. Let him run away quickly. Don't come back. Kaylene didn't believe what he said. Scolded him and told him to go out. Then the two got into an argument. Owens ended up strangling him with his hands. At the hearing, Steve naturally did not admit everything Owens said. After a police investigation, Steve did buy an insurance policy for his wife. This insurance is a factory benefit. The sum insured is $50,000. There is no evidence to show. This policy is related to Kaylene's case. Therefore, there was no appeal against Steve. If someone proposes Steve's evidence related to this case, still suing Steve. The jury finally deliberated for 2 days. Agreed. The defendant, Owens' son, was convicted of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. The case was from the time it occurred to the end. It has been a total of 29 years. If it weren't for Detective Benson's reopening of the investigation, he will always be an unsolved case. It's a bit of a pity. Although the case has been solved, and yet we don't know. Is what Owen Son said true? Is Steve the mastermind of the case? After the case is over. Media reporters live in Colorado. Kaylene's sister Can. Interviews were conducted. Coco told reporters on the phone that I know. The person who physically killed my sister has gone to jail. He did it. As for whether Steve is the mastermind, Kaylene's tombstone reads the words, "Only God knows."